11th of November. Don't go online, don't buy anything online, don't use your debit card, don't use anything digital like that. Stay offline all day. We need to all make a stand, and this is the date that they're saying for everybody to stay offline. If you need to get cash out beforehand, be prepared in case you need to buy anything. Just don't use your card. Don't forget the date, 11th of November. Repost, get as many people to do it as possible. If there's nearly 3 million people that signed the petition do it, that's going to make a huge impact. So let's get even more doing it.
Don't worry, I'll wait. And the question is, are we gonna comply? It's all well and good, everyone saying November the 11th, please, guys, don't use your digital ID, don't use your bank cards, don't go online if you don't have to. Try not use social media for one day, but let's be honest, who's really gonna do it? Because everybody wants to scroll. Everyone's going to be sitting there saying, I don't care, I'm only one person anyway. So someone's going to take money out of their bank account. Someone's going to use chip and pin. Someone's going to use facial recognition. Someone's going to do the same thing of what we're asking everyone not to do. But then when it comes to convenience, it's inconvenient because it's going to become inconvenient now. My question is, are we going to actually get behind it? Yes, this video is going to get likes. Yes, this video is going to get shares. Yes, this video is going to get views. But how many people are actually going to act upon it on the 11th of November? Do not use any form of digital ID. Do not use any form of ID. We keep saying it. Don't spend the money in the shops. Boycott this, boycott that. But I don't know why we keep saying boycott when we keep talking about the 99%. But the 99%, I'm not seeing any of us stand up right now. So the question is to you guys, on November the 11th, will you be getting behind this? Will you be supporting it? What's you guys' thoughts? Comment below.
Remember, the 11th of November.
If you're opposing digital ID, then we're all coming together as a collective on the 11th of November. So pop that in your diary. Don't go online. Don't use your debit card. Cash is king. If you need anything, make sure you sort it out the day before. And I think it was almost 3 million people that opposed it. They're still going to roll it out, whatever, because even if we don't want it, they have desire and an agenda. So let's see what the power of the people can do to disrupt the system, and share it, get as many people on board as possible. Lots of love.
Okay, people keep asking, how can we stop digital ID? Well, there's an online protest happening on the 11th of November. So I don't know how widespread this is, but essentially what you're doing is boycotting the apps, not using social media, most importantly, not buying anything, a 24-hour digital detox. So spread the word, get it out there. This is an amazing form of activism. This is how movements happen. This is how people actually have power. Remember, we've got 4 years to organise ourselves. Digital ID does not have to be an eventuality. This is an exciting time to be alive. We can actually change history in a positive way, but it starts with you, the individual, doing things like on the 11th of November, 24-hour digital detox. Join in.
Peaceful non-compliance, hey? Have you heard of this? Are you going to do this? The first video we said was talking about 11 days, and the other ones were really just saying it was just the 11th. So I guess do as much as you can, right? Definitely one day, if we can get, a big percentage of people for one day to stay offline, to not do banking, to not do online shopping, all this stuff, transferring money basically through the net, through their banking system. If we can halt that for a day, then that would really be quite a blow to the system. So are you in? Have you heard about this? Let me know, and yeah, share it around. Welcome guys, how you going? Campbell here from Autodidactic. Hope you're having a fantastic day. And yes, it's all happening. Digital ID is creeping up on us. And so let's have another look at this strange realm that is enveloping us at the moment.
Now, why is the South Pole important? Why do we go down there? It is because the bottom of the world is an untouched reservoir of natural resources. Strangely enough, there's left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole on the other side of the South Pole from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
That's a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Right up to the ice barrier of the Ross Sea shelf, behind which lay the Bay of Whales and Little America. The only entrance was through a miraculous canyon in the ice barrier. Narrow gaps no more than 400 yards wide and slowly closing every day. Through this, the ships disappeared, one by one, creeping between giant jaws of ice that loomed threateningly off either bow. A harmless threat, though, for all emerged without mishap into the Bay of Whales. Ahead was a landfall of solid ice and Little America.
Wow, Antarctica, the ice wall. Is there more land? What's beyond the ice wall? You know, it's a bit of an edge, right? Because, you know, we're not allowed to go there. But Admiral Byrd, that was in the 50s. That was on the Longines chronoscope. Strange name for a show. But not too long after that, he passed. So did he reveal too much? You know, for a long time, people saw his, you know, information that he was giving as proof of a hollow Earth. That was before the whole flat Earth concept came up. And now it looks much more like he's actually talking about land beyond what he says, right? Land beyond the poles. So what do you think? Is there more land out there? Let me know in the comments.
You already exist in multiple copies. Initially, they are all identical. And then when a moment of choice happens, both a microscopic one and one made by you consciously, these identical copies become different from one another.
So suppose you're walking in Oxford and you have to choose to go left or right.
In that case, in half the universes I go left and in half I go right.
This man showed a parallel reality on television. Please pay attention.
This is just a piece of cardboard with little pinprick holes in it. And there's one of them, just a single hole. This is a laser pointer that we use in giving lectures. I shine the laser through the hole, and we can see a little spot on the screen over there. And what would you expect to see? You'd expect to see, just if there's one hole, you'd expect to see one spot, but that's already not true. You see quite a complicated pattern. It's called an interference pattern. I'll tell you why. What would happen if we made a second hole? Well, here's another place on the screen where there are two holes. We get a completely different pattern. And through three holes, there's a different pattern again. That's the pattern we get from four holes. We can see the behavior of things like photons being affected by things we can't see. Even when one photon is going through, there's a different pattern for 6 holes, for 7 holes, for 100 holes, for 1,000 holes. And that means that there must be something traveling through every one of those 1,000 holes and making a difference to the photon that we see.
Making thousands of parallel universes.
And that means there must be at least thousands of parallel universes. In fact, the theory tells us there are a lot more than that.
The real surprise wasn't the experiment, but the words that came after. Words no one was ready for.
Is it physically possible to build a time machine that is a path from the present time into the past? And the answer there is it's still an open question, but as far as we know, there are physical processes which would allow the tearing of the fabric of space-time in such a way there would be a pathway into the past.
The double slit experiment and time travel. Yeah, so the double slit experiment, early 1900s, around 1902, I think, where basically they proved that everything is energy, really. Everything is frequency and waves of frequency, right? And it's our attention on something that actually turns it to be physical. And you know, the double slit experiment is why they now do blind and even double blind experiments, right? Where they have no one observing the experiment, because they know that just observing something changes it, changes the outcome. So it's proof really that we are the creators, right? It's our attention that brings things into the physical world. So pretty interesting. And the whole time travel thing, I mean, I don't know. Do you think time travel's possible? Doesn't sound like a good thing to be ripping the fabric of space-time, but I think that's all to do with, you know, their ever-expanding infinite universe full of space aliens, which I don't really think is true. But let me know, what are your thoughts? Do you think time travel's possible? And, you know, we have all this stuff with Trump, Baron von Trump, Tesla, Trump's uncle, this whole weird timeline thing, Mandela effect, Looking Glass project. It's all pretty crazy. But what do you think? Is time travel possible? And are they doing it? Could that explain some of the weirdness and especially the Mandela effect?
What causes the frequency of fabrics? Via Dawn Treader. In 2003, a Jewish doctor named Heidi Yellen conducted a study on the frequencies of fabric. According to this study, the human body has a signature frequency of 100, and organic cotton is also the same. The study showed that if the number is lower than 100, it actually puts a strain on the body. A diseased, nearly dead person has a frequency of about 15, and that is where polyester, rayon, and silk register. Non-organic cotton registers a signature frequency of about 70. If the fabric has a higher frequency, it gives energy to the body. This is where linen comes in as a super fabric. Its frequency is 5,000. Wool is also 5,000, but when mixed together with linen, the frequencies cancel each other out and fall to 0. Even wearing a wool sweater on top of a linen outfit in a study collapsed the electrical field. The reason for this could be that the energy field of wool flows from left to right, while that of linen flows in the opposite direction, from right to left.
The frequency of fabrics. But we saw a video about this a couple of days ago. Yeah, the fabrics that we wear alter our frequency. Basically, DuPont, right, wants to cover everyone in plastic, and we see that it's everywhere, right? It's all on our cooking utensils, our bed sheets, clothing, all this kind of stuff. I'm definitely trying to get rid of all my polyester, non-natural fabrics. I've got bed sheets now, and they're not, they're a bit more expensive, right, to get organic cotton sheets, but what are you going to do, right? I guess with health and all this kind of stuff, you either pay now and don't get sick, or you get sick and pay later, right? Either way, we have to pay for our health. We have to make decisions, right, and choices of how we can best keep the frequencies and the poison out, because that's really what this game is at the moment down here on Earth, I think, is it's a game of the person who gets the least chemicals wins.
We live in a dome. We live under a dome. The world's flat. No, you live in your dome. The firmament. Mint, mind. We know government, right? We know that the government means to control the mind. But the firmament is your skull. And your awareness sits right here in the middle of your brain. It's called the pineal gland, the seat of the soul. You're driving your body. You're driving this entire experience through the seat of your soul. You live inside your brain. You live inside the mind. Your awareness sits right there and controls and views, experiences everything, generates everything. You don't even see an external world. Your eyes bring in light, which are then processed in the back of your brain. And then that image that is formed in the back of your brain is then projected into your consciousness. So there is no outside world. There is no outside world. You live in your brain. And we come down here, quote unquote, we tune into this experience to become stronger, to gain awareness, to expand our consciousness, to make our mind stronger, firmer mind, stronger mind. When you subscribe to theories that limit your experience, oh, the Earth's flat, bro. There's no outer space, bro. We're just here. That's all there is just here. You're getting rid of the entirety of the universe that's in your mind. If you go to space, you had to channel space within your mind, which means space is in your mind. And when you subscribe to these theories that make you smaller, that limit your experience, they're going to do just that.
Interesting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But yeah, like firmament, right? The mental, the mind, and of course, that's where the temple is, right? The temple. We sit in the temple, so keep your temple clean. And he is correct, right? Basically, everything that we experience is inside our mind, right? That's why the way out is in. And most of the control system, they've just got us focusing on the outside, right? Everything's outside of us. So he definitely has a good point there. And I agree that that's how it works. We're projecting reality, but it's all happening in our mind, which is, it is a hard concept to get your head around. I just see it as a torus, right? The donut. And so basically the energy goes from the inside to the outside, and then from the outside to the inside. That's kind of us, right? Our energy goes from inside of us and is projected outside. Then we get feedback from the outside world, and that comes back into our inside world. And that's our sort of cycle, right? Of learning and growing awareness. As far as space, still, he didn't change my mind. We just don't have any proof. I haven't seen any credible proof for, the infinite expanding out of space. But I've seen a lot of proof that it's not true. Lots of dodgy stuff NASA does. There's a lot of proofs, no curvature, the stars don't move, all that kind of stuff. But does that box us in? Does that make our consciousness smaller? Obviously, in ever expanding universe, that there's potential, right? There's infinite potential. Anything can happen in their model. But I don't think that, not buying into that is shutting ourselves down. I think it's using our minds, and the flat earth, we don't even know what it is, if that's what it is. We don't know if there's outer lands, right? More lands. We don't know if there's land underneath us, so it's not, in my point of view, a closing down. It actually opens up a lot more questions. So I think it's good, but let me know. What do you think? Is flat earth a psyop? Is space real? What's going on here? Where are we? Where is down here? Do you know?
The book of Enoch describes this perfectly. And this book was left out of the Bible on purpose from our predecessors, but it describes the angels coming down and cutting all these giant trees down to flood out the Nephilim, the giants, these beings that stretched 4,500 feet tall. These trees would reach the heavens, and that's why you always see the flat mountaintops, because these were massive trees way back in the day. Giant trees. This was a much bigger realm. And they came and they cut all this down because they wanted to get rid of the Nephilim. They wanted to get rid of the giants. It is said that there's about 200 of these trees that were cut down. And if you take a look around, that's pretty accurate. There could be even more. But the evidence is right in front of your face. And when you cut a tree down, water will start pouring out from the trees. But it's as above, so below. The water's above the firmament. This is where all the flooding came in. It was right after they cut the trees down was when we experienced this massive flood. And it wiped out all of the giants, all of the Nephilim. And this was mentioned, again, in the book of Enoch. And they left it out on purpose, guys. Like, they left this shit out on purpose because they don't want you to know the real origins of humanity and our true history. But the truth is always in plain sight. Peace and love.
The book of Enoch. I always find it interesting that in the Christian religion, they have these extra canonical books, right? Basically, books that they say, are connected to the story of Christianity, but they're not the word of God, I think is how they put it. And so they just take them out. And this was all obviously done back in the Council of Nicaea. And, they had actually several councils where they were just going in and ripping books out, right? Editing. So I find it interesting that that was taken out. He's got a point. Why was it taken out? Of course, we see the trees everywhere, right? Messes, they call them. And 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 they seem to be across the realm. So, let me know. Do you think there were giant trees? I mean, it looks like we've got a bit of evidence from my point of view. Were they cut down and why? And just one other point is he did say, right, that water comes from trees, and that's correct. I've actually done a video on it on my main channel, Autodidactic. But when you cut down a tree, water comes out of it, right? But he then said the waters came down from above. Now, that's actually not what it says in the Bible. It says the waters came up from below, and it says it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Yes, but the majority of the waters came up from below. So is that what all these craters we have are? And they're just by coincidence seems to be around 200 craters. So is that left over from where the water's come up from below, or was it the trees that when they cut the trees down, that released all the water, all the roots going down into the earth, sucking up the water, you cut the tree off and it just starts pouring out the top. And then another point is, where do mountain streams come from and rivers, right? They all seem to originate up in mountains. So where's the water originating? What's going on there? That one hasn't really been explained very well, has it? But please let me know your thoughts.
What happens with the eyes is right now, as you wear any glasses, whatever it may be, they block out a UV spectrum. That's why people get thicker and thicker glasses. The glasses are blocking out the UV spectrum the entire time, which then make the eyes progressively weaker. So think of windshields, glasses. Everybody's sitting indoors all the time and they go outside and they're like, oh, the sun is so bright. The sun is so bright because your eyes are now weaker because you're so used to having this blockage. So this is how the eye professionals work. Sell you thicker and thicker glasses, but they never address the root cause, which is just usually nutrition. You have all these meridian lines which run up and down your body. This is the same reason in which people wear, necklaces, bracelets, jewelry, earrings, the whole thing. Like they're all enhancing a meridian line. So each superfood that we offer addresses a different meridian line. Pearl powder has been shown to heal and regenerate the eyesight. That meridian line of the eyesight is connected to the spleen. When we don't feed the spleen, the eyesight begins to degenerate. And so what happens is that whole pathway is being fed. You have structured water, you have selenium, you have magnesium, you have iodine, and then you also have all these beautiful amino acids which help boost glutathione. Those are all very beneficial for the eyes. The other thing you can do too is eye exercises, training the eyes. If you don't train them, they fall apart. You're so used to looking up and down on screens all the time, instead of looking left and right, if you were out like in the wild, you would have to look every direction.
Yeah, use it or lose it, right? Like so many people wear glasses now, and clearly, a big factor is the screens. And, I've got my own glasses here, and it's true, man. Once you put them on, your eyesight starts to deteriorate. So I'm working through that. Need to get back into some sun gazing and, eye exercises like that, like you said. But let me know, do you wear glasses? Have you retrained your eyes? And if so, what have you done to do that?
Are you aware that there were 15? Now let me ask you something. Are you aware that there were 15 other major religions? This is history now.
Okay.
Not conjecture, history. There were 15 major theological religious movements in the world before Christianity that taught exactly the same identical story of a Messiah who came to the earth, who was born in a manger, who died on a cross, who had 12 apostles, who died with a crown of thorns. Are you aware that there were 15 major religions that had the same identical teachings of Christianity? Most people aren't. And I'm very suspect of a 16th religion, which is copied off of 15 previous religions, and I am told that this one is the truth. I become very suspect. That's the way I am as a teacher and as a researcher and a writer. I become rather suspect, and I tell you something else I'm very suspect, and that is the connection between government and politics today in America. I think both should be investigated, and that's what this book attempts to do. Look behind the scenes of both our authorities in the world, religion, politics, and money. Our country is in trouble, our families are in trouble, our whole human race is in trouble. And basically, we can boil it down to three problems we all share on this earth in common: religion, politics, and money. And I'm telling you, the three are not separate, they are all one.
Yes, right. The Trinity. Money, religion, and politics. Jordan Maxwell there, obviously one of the great researchers, one of the OGs. But he's right? Obviously, it's all control systems, and they are all intertwined. We have the three city states, right? which is the Vatican, which controls religion, England, or London, sorry, which controls the money, and Washington, D.C., which controls war, but also the governments, right? So, none of those cities are all city states. They're actually not part of the countries that they're in. They just make us think that they are. Yeah, what do you think? Like, how do we get around this? They've definitely built a nice trap and they've tried to ensnare us, but this is all coming to a head pretty quick. And with the whole digital ID, of course, 11th of November, make sure if you can stay offline that you do it, right? Digital detox for a day or two or 11. This seems to be the way out. It really is. The way to, get out of this mess that we find ourselves in is just non-compliance. Just don't comply. And this is the hard bit because they make it all so easy, right, for us. You can shop and it'll get delivered to your door. You can bank online. You can do this. You don't have to carry cash. But what it's doing is just stripping away our power and giving them more control.
I'm telling you, I don't even think these people are human. Like, I look at Elon Musk and Sam Altman and Peter Thiel, and I'm pretty sure they're hybrid. You know what I mean? Like, they just look like an Apple software that I should be able to download at night, like my phone's getting an update or something. It's something in the eyes. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I know I'm human, but I don't know if I stabbed you if you bleed, I'm not going to stab them, but I don't know if they bleed all the way. I think a battery would fall out. You know what I mean?
Breaking news. Australia just banned Candace Owens, a political commentator, not a criminal, not a terrorist, a black woman with opinions. Think about that. A sitting government minister used the Migration Act to silence a political commentator.
I still can't believe that I'm I got banned from a country. Like, what am I doing that my country, I wasn't even going to speak about Israel, like nothing. And yet the Zionist lobby rose up and she can't speak. I was going to speak about homeschooling and children and my backstory and race issues. And they were like, you can't come in. Okay, but you can still download my podcast on Spotify? I don't understand.
Meanwhile, the same government has flown ISIS brides back into the country. Taxpayer-funded reintegration programs and full media protection. So Tony Burke will welcome home people who joined a terrorist group, but ban a woman who speaks her mind.
Well, Candace Owens, what do you think of her? A lot of people follow her, think she's doing good work. A lot of people think she's a shill. I'm not sure. I don't have enough information to make that decision. But let me know your thoughts. And the three AI bosses, are they hybrids? I just had a thought, was the AI already here? Like, did the AI create them? That would be interesting, wouldn't it? But what do you think? It's kind of the first time that someone, big, like with a big audience, who's not necessarily a, conspiracy theorist, has come out and said something like that, as far as what I've heard anyway. I haven't heard that before from someone like Candace. So what do you think about that? What do you think it is? Is this disclosure coming out, soft disclosure? Is it just another psyop? What do you think? I mean, I think it's good because at least it's going to put that question into people's consciousness, right? Which is, of course, what the elites do, right? That they seed these thoughts first. So, as long as people are thinking for themselves, being autodidactic, I don't see a problem with any of it. We need to understand that pretty much everything we hear, right, is either 80% truth and 20% lies, or 80% lies and 20% truth. Nothing is the whole truth. And it's up to us to decide, right, what we believe, what seems more true or false to us. But it's pretty interesting stuff. Let me know in the comments. What do you think about all this?
Technology is magical and will be recognized as magic because no one will be able, I'm paraphrasing, to explain how the technology works. Therefore, they will think it's magical. That was in the 70s. How does your Fitbit get your vital signs out of your body when there's no oxygen meter on your finger, no pads on your head for EEG, and no pads sticking to your chest for EKG? Well, the phone is doing what? The phone doesn't have a heartbeat. The phone doesn't have oxygen. The phone doesn't have glucose. But all of those signals are showing on your health app on your phone. All I asked is how. Well, I'm using my wearable. Great. How is the wearable getting that data? out of your body. Welcome to your missing human anatomy. Whole other discussion. And that's how I ended up being stuck on the internet. Nobody would stick their neck out. Nobody would stand with confidence.
Now, does all this stuff work? Have you ever thought about that? You know, how can you wear one of these Fitbits or whatever and it's just sitting on your wrist, but getting all your vital signs? What's going on there? I mean, I guess I used to just assume it was some kind of frequency that it was running through your body to get information back. And of course, if that's what's going on, that's not going to be good for us, right? We know the kind of frequencies that they use, but magic, I mean, I think that came from Arthur C. Clarke, you know, that basically technology, when you show it to people who are more primitive, it becomes magic. It looks like magic because they don't understand how it works, especially the wireless stuff, right? So what is all this stuff that we've got, you know, internet and Wi-Fi and all this stuff? What is it? We can't explain it. How does the internet work? How was it created? You know, these are all questions that we don't get taught. And since it's the world that we inhabit, you would think that that's probably good information to know, right? But they definitely keep it hidden. You know, definitely we can't go out and start another internet. Well, I can't. I don't know how to do it, and no one's done it yet. So I'm thinking it's a fairly hard thing to do. But what is going on with all this technology? What is it? Is it actually just technology, or is there something else going on? What do you think? Because a lot of this stuff does make this realm seem, you know, a bit like a simulation.
Oh, wow. So you're telling me that this whole time there are actually frequencies that help heal your teeth? And I have been going through unnecessary pain for no reason? You motherfuckers. So apparently, they're calling this electroherbalism Rife therapy, which can trigger stem cell activity and tissue regeneration. Now, can anyone explain to me why majority of us are missing our left molar? Ain't that suspicious? Ain't that suspicious that the small intestine, aka your third brain, is the one being affected, causing those back teeth to completely decay and collapse? And that the food that I'm eating may be the culprit?
Well, the food that you're eating could definitely be the culprit if you're talking about tooth decay, 100%. But are you missing your left molar? Because mine, it cracked. I've only got half a tooth there at the moment. Let me know if you got yours. Connected to the small intestine, he said that was the third brain. And I don't know, it's just the small intestine, like your gut region, definitely, you know, your gut feeling, your stomach, all that kind of stuff, sure. But frequencies, everything is frequency, right? This is what we know, and it's really coming out. And frequency is everything. And of course, if we're frequency, then the way to cure dis-ease is by getting the frequency right, you know, tuning back into the right radio station if you want. It's definitely not by putting, you know, oil-based pharmaceutical pills in your body, because that's definitely not going to help you. But do you use frequency? Have you tried it? Like Rife, Royal Raymond Rife, sort of did what was one of the pioneers on this technology. You can get Rife machines out there. I'm looking at getting one myself. I'm just sort of looking around to see what's what. Have you got one? What have you got? And what are the results?
Some of you out there still afraid. You should not be afraid. Not at all. They stole your anatomy and biology. That means the power is within you, right there where you are, wherever you are. You don't need lead paint, a magic wearable, a magic paperweight. You need your parietal lobe, that's part of your brain. And you need your somatoform, that's also part of your brain. And then you need your central nervous system, brain, heart, gut coherence. All of that is under your control, which is why it is so important that there are a ton of synergists out there right now that are educating other people in any way they can think of. That's the real power of humanity, caring human to human instead of betraying each other human to human. The synergists represent humanity uplifting one another human to human.
Thanks, Sabrina Wallace. She's actually got some really good content online. She talks a lot about how we're being used and manipulated, turned into antennas basically by all this different frequency stuff. But as she said, in the end, we're the power. Again, November 11th, right? We have the power to not comply, and that could put a massive dent in their system. I mean, 11 days of that would collapse it. So we have the power. We've just got to choose to use it, right? The more we comply, then the less power we have, right? But I think the main message there is don't buy into the fear, right? Be prepared, not scared, because you are the power. And if you don't like the situation you're in, then change it. You're not a tree, right? You can actually move. And I also wanted to say just another observation is, she mentioned the gut as well, right? The three minds, the brain, the heart, and the stomach. It's three, right? Again, this three, Father, Son, Holy Ghost. Is that what the Trinity? Is that what it's actually referring to? Like getting all of our three minds in sync. Because we have the brain mind, which is clearly, cognitive thought. We have the heart mind, which is more emotion based. And then we have the gut, which is feelings, right? Gut feelings, which is really, I guess, sensing energy. Is that the actual Trinity?
What do you mean by digital? I do believe we're just at the beginning of the tokenization of all assets, from real estate to equities to bonds across the board. It's very loud here. It's very loud, but it's good. Capital's at work. Right? You like that? I love capital at work. Yeah. There's $4.1 trillion of money in city globally in digital wallets. A lot of that money is outside the United States. If we could tokenize a ETF, and digitize that ETF, we could have investors who are just beginning to, invest in markets through, let's say, crypto. They're investing in it, but now we could get them into the more traditional long-term retirement products. So we look at that as the next wave of opportunity for BlackRock over the next tens of years, as we start focusing, moving away from, traditional financial assets by repotting them in a digital manner, and then having people stay in that digital ecosystem. They can have their cash, and we have the largest cash money market fund that's tokenized called BITL. Our Bitcoin IBIT is now over $100 billion. I know from nothing not that long ago. Around 2 years ago, zero. Yeah, I know. Well, you weren't always a huge proponent of crypto, as we know. Yeah, love it, but I grow and learn. I heard you say that on 60 Minutes. I did. Yeah.
Tokenization of everything. They want everything to be living in cyberspace, in the cloud, in the 2D world. They want to control all the money. They tell us this. He just said it. He wants to take over the electronic funds transfer, which is basically every transaction in the world, which is not a cash transaction, so that they can control it and make more money off it and trade more of their things that don't exist to make money. So, like, the plan is, and this has been the plan all along, is that they want to trade things that don't exist to us for things that do exist. They've been doing it for decades with fiat currency, right? This money that is not backed by anything, so it's literally worthless. The only worth that it has is that people agree it has a certain value, and then they manipulate that in the background anyway, right? But they were using that to buy things like land and resources, right? Nature, rivers, all this kind of stuff. And we were buying it, but we were trading real things for nothing, for an illusion. And isn't it interesting that his name is Larry Fink? Fink. Someone who tells secrets and damaging information about someone else or an unpleasant person. Larry Fink. Well, I think there's something in that for all of us.
There are 42 million people in this country that need food stamps on a weekly basis. And we're saying people deliberately instead of Americans because most of the people that are on food stamps aren't even from this country. 45% of Afghanistan immigrants are on food stamps. 42% of Somali immigrants, 34% of every immigrant from Iraq, 23% of Haitians, 59% of all illegal aliens are collecting food stamps, meaning that most of the people getting food stamps from the U.S. government and the U.S. taxpayer are not even Americans. Think about that. And we didn't know about any of this before the government shutdown started, but thanks to Democrats, we can confirm tonight that millions of Joe Biden illegal aliens, people who crossed the border when Joe was president, are now collecting food stamps from a program funded by hardworking American taxpayers. There are 42 million people.
So yes, you heard that right. If you haven't seen that clip already, I've played it before here on my channel. But I don't know, that's pretty outrageous to me. But guys, that's not just the worst part, because we've got to get into, all these rumors that Walmart is closing because people are saying that they're going to rob Walmart. They're going to go in, get their groceries. They're going to fill up their carts and their buggies, and no one's going to stop them. A lot of people are saying there's going to be violence. If you try to stop me, listen, I'm going to take out that pew pew and you're going to be dead. I am going to get my benefits. But this is the thing. They are directing their anger at the wrong people. They're directing their anger in the wrong direction, because we know, guys, what do we know? We know I'll just show you this chart really quickly. If you haven't seen it already, but it says welfare used by nativity and legal status. I went over this before, but I want you to understand the yellow are U.S. born citizens. The blue are legal immigrants and the orange are illegals. Look at these. Look at this. Any welfare, cash, food, Medicaid, in most of these all these categories except for housing, which is equal with legal immigrants, American citizens are getting the least amount of assistance. The rest are going to legal immigrants and illegals. Okay? Illegals. Illegals should never be on here. Immigrants should never be on here. The only people that the American government should be giving assistance to are American citizens. But guys, that's not the worst part. Because when you go into this, okay, you have Hakeem Jeffries, and the left continues to blame Trump. They blame the right. They over and over and over again, even though we know this is documented, this is said even by their own people.
Yeah, the whole thing that's going on with Snap in America. And first of all, I just want to say, it's always about right and left, right? The bloody politics. Like, we're right and they're wrong. The other side caused this. It wasn't us. But I think everyone here knows that it's just an illusion, right? The right and left are just the two wings of one bird, right? It's one creature made to look like it's two different entities. And it's even called right wing and left wing. Right? They tell us, right? It's an illusion. But what's going on in America? Let me know if you're there, especially if you're, I think it's more north, like Portland and these kind of areas, Chicago, where this is really happening, going down. And it's obviously all tied in with the ice stuff and blah, blah, blah. But I did see some of these videos, people calling for other people to join them and doing mass free collecting of goods, shall we say. Did any of this happen? But I also just want to stress that, in today's world, especially the 2D world, we don't know what's real. There is so much AI out there that you don't want to get caught up following a trend that is totally created to entrap you, right? Because, these could be real people that are paid as well, right? Like crisis actors, shills, whatever you want to call them. It could be complete AI. And they put all these videos out to get people to go to these shops and do the wrong thing. And they're waiting to get you, to catch you. And of course, if it's widespread, martial law? Is that the plan? I mean, I don't know, but I think that, these videos we've watched today, that we can definitely understand that the reality that is being sold to us, that we've been programmed with, is not true, right? It's all programmed that the outside world has power over you. You must comply. You must follow what the leaders say. But that's not true. The power is in us. And again, 11th of November, we can all definitely get offline for one day and not do any of, the buying. We can use cash if we need to buy. We can buy the food, the day before, right? And not spend it all. I think it's a good thing to get involved with, and it will show us and the control system that we do have the power. But they're going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing because they don't know how not to. All they can do is follow a script. So it's really, the point of change is us. And the way to get through all this is to not comply with their system, which means we've got to start building our own systems. We've got to get out there and get this done, guys, because it's all getting very close. But there you go. I hope you enjoyed that, a little walk through the world that we find ourselves in. Please give me a like if you like this type of content. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already. Share it around and leave me a comment. Let me know what you thought on these videos today. And of course, stay awesome, and I'll talk to you on the next upload. Bye for now.
Yo!
Yo.
My boy!
Fresh beef.
I like that.
Oh, I like you.
No, that was magic. That was magic. It never went down his nose.
That was indeed magic. You know who I am.
Another one.
I'm the best hypnotist in the world. You can call me Mystic Dicky.
What the f? No, hell no. What the Mr. Dicky? Why they call you? Why they call you?
Well, the real question is, have you ever been hypnotized before?
No, I never been hypnotized. Come on, don't do no gay shit on me though.
I promise you, I definitely won't. The first step to getting hypnotized is imagination.
Okay.
Is there anything in the bag?
There's nothing in the bag.
Nah. Nothing.
No, I want to see the bag the whole time. You about to put something in there. Okay, yeah, show me the bag.
Grab this. It's an invisible rock. Grab it.
Okay, I'm grabbing the rock.
No, grab the
rock.
On the count of 3, throw it up. 1.
Oh shit, my bad. Yo. hold on. Read the. Okay.
1, 2, 3, throw it.
What the f? Nah, you doing voodoo, bro. I gotta watch out for you, bro. You fuck
There's
with black
nothing
man?
in the bag, though.
How the f that happen?
That is why it's called imagination, my friends.
Oh.
You imagine you take something.
I did?
Nothing.
It's
You
nothing?
throw it up.
Okay.
And it goes in the bag. Wait.
How the f is that? Yo, let me ask you a question.
What is this?
No, right away. Let me ask you a question. Oh, that was clever. That wasn't nice, though. Just f me?
No, not really, mate. I'm just messing with you. But the real question is, are you ready to get hypnotized?
Please, come on.
You're gay. Take a deep breath in.
No, hold the f up. I wasn't gay. No. Mystic Dick. I was never gay, Mystic Dick. Mr. Yo, no. You tricked me.
Do me a favor. I've got a card in my pocket. You tell me what card it is, then you're not gay. How about that?
King of Hearts.
What?
King of Hearts. This motherfucker. Oh, you got a King of Hearts tatted on you. So I won. I'm really the motherfucker that's doing the magic tricks.
But if you enjoyed my show and were hypnotized, give her a kiss for me, please.
The Stroker is live tonight on Kick.